probably still gonna have to steal it.
Alright guys, thanks a lot for coming. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what the difference is between listening and hearing. And just, throw some thoughts out there. What do you guys think the difference is between listening and hearing?
Well, listening is, hearing is just when you hear the sounds that words make, but listening is understanding the content of what you're saying.
I think hearing is more like there's just noise out there. But like you said, listening is actually understanding what the noise is trying to communicate to you.
Whoever's got anything?
They got.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So I guess we can kind of agree that hearing is kind of more general and listening is kind of more specific, kind of zooming in on things. Okay. Let's do a little test with that. I'm going to say a few words and I'd like to have you guys repeat me. Let's start with the word spot. Whenever I start, let's say the word spot 5 times fast. Spot, 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 spot. Let's do it again. Spot, 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 spot. Spot, 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 spot. What do you do at a green light? Alright? So that's kind of where the thinking comes into mind whenever it comes to the difference between hearing and listening. Let's do another one real quick. What do you get whenever you spell R-O-A-S-T?
Roast.
And C-O-A-S-T?
Coast.
What do you put in a toaster?
So,
Bread.
bread.
Alright. And what do you get whenever you take 2 apples from 3?
One.
Well, no.
You get 2 apples. Because you took 2.
If you take 2 apples,
Oh.
you get 2 apples.
Oh,
I see what you
Can't
mean.
have one,
Math.
right? Alright, let's go on to another activity. You guys each received a piece of paper whenever you walked in. And on these pieces of paper, like I said, I pulled you guys out earlier and we talked about them and they're kind of roles. And we're going to kind of focus on the hearing side, or the listening side of the difference between listening and hearing. And on these papers, as I explained earlier, each of you is talking to all of us. So you're talking to one person, but all of us are going to be listening in on this conversation. And it's like we're jumping in and we're listening to what you're saying. We don't know exactly what you're talking about because we weren't listening earlier. So it's our job to kind of listen to you and try to understand what's being talked about in this conversation. So who has student number 1?
Oh, I do.
Awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to Claire, and then after she's done reading her part, except for the parentheses at the bottom, we're going to talk about what we think is going on in this conversation.
Okay. My house has been so messy lately. My husband and I always try keeping it clean with the little amount of time we have in between school and work. The thing is, ever since we got her, the house just doesn't stay clean anymore. She gets her food everywhere and she still doesn't go to the bathroom in the right place or the right time. I guess we are just going to have to keep her locked up.
So based on what we just heard, on the context, we cut in on the conversation just right when she was saying that. What is it we think she's talking about?
Dog?
Yeah, I was gonna say probably a dog.
Awesome. And how did you get dog out of that?
Because I feel like dogs do the things that you have those problems when you get a new puppy sometimes, and you probably don't lock a child up or anything.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking too.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't usually get a child, you
Yeah.
like
Have
have
a
a child.
child.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Who has student number 2?
I do.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
So I wake up this morning to a message on my phone and she is still crying. She says that she may have to drop out this semester to move back home and get a job to help her mom financially. This has been a terrible tragedy for her family and her brother and sisters are devastated.
So kind of based on what we listened to right there, or what we listened to, what can we deduct from what he's talking about in this conversation with us?
of his friends is going through a hard time.
Alright.
I feel like maybe the mom's sick or something like that, or the dad passed away or something.
Okay. And why would you say it's a friend?
Because he knows about all this stuff.
Okay.
It said her brothers and sisters, so it's not their brother. It's not the person's brother
Okay.
or
And-
sister.
And based on what you heard, why would you think something's wrong with the mom or the dad?
Well, it talked about just helping the mom financially, so we know the dad's probably not part of the situation anymore. Maybe that was like, we don't know if it was recent though, or what's been going on lately.
Okay. And what were you talking there, John?
Dad has just passed away in a car accident, and the daughter, the girlfriend of the speaker, is contemplating going home to help out the family financially.
So we got John is conversing with her girlfriend or significant other, whoever, and he cut into the conversation finally and is listening. And what we deducted from that is that it's got to be, something's wrong with the parents, and that's what we got. Let's move on to student number 3.
Dude! I can't wait to get home today. Ever since my dad bought me it, I have been playing non-stop on the weekend.
Oh dear.
In fact, you should come over today and play with me. Only problem is, I don't have a second controller. Do you think you can borrow one from somebody?
Alright, just based off of what Brantley was saying, what do we get out of that?
Video games.
Yeah, probably.
Awesome. Pretty almost self-explanatory. We're all kind of familiar with playing all day on the weekend maybe. We probably have a console in our house. Alright, let's move on to student number 4. Last one.
Okay. Oh man, is he going to get up? That was a hard fall. If he can't play, I don't think this team has a chance in the next round. He is their best player, this year's MVP, top 3-point shooter. There's no way they win the championship without him.
Alright, so we got a surprised look on Brantley's face. So what are we talking about here?
Steph Curry.
It's easily Steph Curry.
Alright. So anybody with a background knowledge in basketball, at least in the NBA, knows that we'd be talking about that. So there we see what the importance is and the differences between hearing and listening. If you were just hearing something, you wouldn't have caught most of that conversation. Since you're listening, based on context, you know what's going on. Let's continue off of that, and to end here, let's just kind of go from person to person, some personal experiences you've had in your life, where you've either been hearing something or listening to something or somebody, and kind of your thought process on how that works. For example, my wife comes home and I'm watching TV, and she says the garbage is full, but I'm watching TV, so I'm kind of hearing something going on in the background, and then later she's kind of upset. She tells me that the garbage hasn't been taken out, and I'm listening then. So I realized, I was only hearing what she was saying earlier, but I wasn't actually listening. So just an example. We'll start over here. John, if you have an example.
So I'm telling you an example of like a similar situation.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I have tons of situations like that one. Yeah, I mean all the time, like doing homework. Things like that. She'll probably say stuff to me, and it'll take me a while to I don't know, really grasp what she's saying or something. Just because I'm doing something else. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the good person there.
Yeah. It'll just
Okay, so I guess last Sunday we gave talks in church, and to be honest, can't really remember what your talk was about because I heard him saying his talk, but I was up next and I was nervous, so didn't really go through my head. I'm sorry. So that was fun.
All right.
When I'm in science class. Sometimes I do other homework in the science class, which is bad, but I don't really hear what my science teacher is saying because I'm working on something else. And I fail my test.
No. I had an experience like this on Friday in stats class, so kind of similar as Claire. But I remember sitting there and I was like doing other homework, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Okay, everyone, get in your groups and do this activity now." And I didn't realize that for the last like 10 minutes he'd been explaining what we're supposed to be doing. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what do we do?" And I had to rely on my group mates to fill me in because I was only hearing, I wasn't listening.
Okay. Awesome. So I don't know if any of you know a second language. No. So just based on maybe your knowledge of how second languages works, which may not be much, why do you think the difference between hearing and listening can be so important for somebody that's learning a second language like English, for somebody that's coming from a different country, or somebody from the United States, for example, that's going to learn Spanish in a different country or something like that?
Well, I mean, first off, you don't know all the words of the language. I mean, and there's probably words that sound similar and dissimilar, just like there are in English. And if you're really not paying attention, you don't have a full understanding of the language. It's going to be really hard for you to understand if you're not fully engaged in kind of what they're saying, and you can misinterpret it pretty easy, I would think. I don't have background or really know a second language or anything, but that's what I would think. So.
Sure.
I remember for me because I was in my last area of my mission, I was assigned to speak Chuukese, and it was interesting because I'd be sitting there in a room full of Chuukese people, and if I wasn't like listening as hard as I possibly could, I couldn't understand anything. But if I was kind of focusing and I'd been studying the language for a month or two, then I could kind of pick up little glimpses here and there. So you definitely have to listen very closely if you want to understand the message.
Awesome. Well, if there aren't any other comments, I'd like to thank you guys again for coming to this lesson. And just to top that off, this is for Tesol 200. I'm Ryan Bagley. If you guys would introduce yourselves real quick.
I'm John Grover.
Jesse Grover.
Claire Brooks.
Brantley Brooks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
And that's Mamie.